Watch out guys, Rem is finally back in the form of a small boy known as Lie-Batting Kaitos. With jokes aside, I do want to say that this episode didn't really have any peaks like the last few episodes, but I would actually argue that this episode is really important. The amount of information just littered around was actually insane, now that I think about it after rewatching the episode. Now, the big point of this episode is this fight between Aldebaran and Capella, and I'm pretty sure, especially if you're anime only, you're noticing that Al is saying some very strange things, and I'm going to sort of talk about that in a second. And we can sort of see this sort of parallel between Aldebaran and Subaru. And what was really interesting, I'm not sure if you caught it, but when Aldebaran destroyed the town hall, the camera focused on the pedestal. Now, for those that forgot, this is the pedestal that Subaru did his giant speech on. And this speech was the sort of counterattack. It turned everything back to, now here's the good guys, we're gonna beat up the archbishops. And it's interesting that this pedestal is what's being focused on when Al is on screen. Focusing on Al's statements, he says things like, "True, even if I die 100 deaths, I'm not sure if I could ever kill you," before saying, "Dying hurts, and it's scary, you know," before going on to say, "Hang on, you're seriously going to die," and he finally finishes it off with talking about this idea that death hurts, especially the first time, which again makes no sense because obviously you can only die once. So what is he referring to when he says dying hurts? Interesting, especially when we see the parallels with Subaru. If we think about when he's escaping, he even says that he felt like he was crushed 3 times when he escapes from the waterway. I'm sure we can all agree that the animation is phenomenal. Capella's transformations were amazing. Now, I think most of us get it by now that Capella is actually really intelligent. She's not like Regulus or Betelgeuse who would just sort of go in and attack and be crazy. She actually has a mentality behind her. She knows what she can do, and of course she follows the gospel and she does what she wants. She of course wants to inflict as much pain as she can on people, and you could see the way she goads Felix in these encounters. Reinhard once again saves the day. So I know there was a common criticism of Reinhard in Season 1 and Season 2, which was, where's Reinhard? Why is Reinhard not doing anything? And like, here he is, he's pretty much carrying every single fight, saving everyone from defeat. So just goes to show that when Reinhard is in the picture, he can actually do stuff. We also had another major reveal. When Lie-Batting Kaitos is talking to Dinas, he talks about how he couldn't protect Miriam and Mary. Now this is a mistranslation, you know how Crunchyroll is. This is actually referring to Meili, of course, the young girl that was with Elsa. So this seems to show that Meili seems to be some sort of way related to the White Dragon Scale soldiers, namely Dinas, and how Dinas and the others could not protect Meili. Which is really interesting because we know Meili's background where she was just sort of, you know, a street rat essentially, kind of like Felt. You know, no real background, no real family. But it shows that maybe Lie-Batting Kaitos had a part to play in her background and how she sort of met Elsa. So it's really interesting that this has been sort of dropped in all the way in Arc 5, which sort of hints at things to come in the future. Of course, by the way, it also leads to the question is, who is Miriam? Is that Meili's sister? Is that Meili's mother? We won't actually know, but it's really interesting that Tappy has dropped this so early on. I wonder where that's going to go. I thought the fight between Roy Alvard and Julius and Ricardo was quite nice. It showcases that the Sin Archbishops are actually really strong. Remember, Julius is the finest knight. You know, he absolutely dog-walked Betelgeuse, the Sin Archbishop of Sloth. And we can see that Julius and Ricardo tag teaming are having difficulty with gluttony. So it just goes to show like how strong these Sin Archbishops can be. Of course, if it was against someone like Reinhard, you know, Reinhard would win immediately. But even for someone like Julius, who's like the second or third strongest swordsman, Knight of Lagunica, that not only Roy Alphard could fight against Julius, but Ricardo at the same time. So he's not just a fodder character. Now, of course, I'm sure you all understand now, Roy Alphard has eaten the name and memories of Julius's younger brother, Joshua. And that's what the flashback is showing. Of course, remember, when Joshua's name and memories are eaten, Julius, of course, forgets about him. So when Roy is calling him brother, Julius is like sort of biting his lip. He's going, I don't understand what you're talking about, or anything like that. Of course, because Julius has forgotten that he has a brother. And that's the reason why he's so frustrated. He knows something's off, but he doesn't know what is off and why it's off. The crux of the episode focused once again on Libat and Kaitos and, of course, Otto and Beatrice. Now, what's really interesting is that Otto is actually quite tactical. The way he sort of catches Libat and Kaitos off guard, detonates explosives on him. And what's really interesting is we see Libat and Kaitos' body is all scarred like he's been whipped. And it's interesting how Tappei does this. He talks about how the Sin Archbishops are not likable characters. They're like evil characters. They're pieces of trash. But he sort of always makes him have these sort of weird backstories. Like, look at Betelgeuse. He was a nice guy, he was helpful, he tried to help Emilia, and now he's a fan favourite character. And it seems that Libat and Kaitos was like sort of whipped as a child, because he is a child. So it makes you think, why did Libat and Kaitos turn out this way? Was it because of his upbringing? So if so, maybe he isn't such a bad character. Maybe the reason why he lashes out is because of what's been done to him. Again, this is something we won't know, but hopefully it's explored in the future. Of course, there are some Sin Archbishops which are not really redeemable. Someone like Regulus, we know his backstory. He's just a terrible person all around. But maybe someone like Libat and Kaitos, maybe there's a reason for why he's doing what he's doing, and not being evil for the sake of being evil. Either way, we see that Libat and Kaitos, he works by licking his palm and saying your name, and that's what he did in the previous scene. Either way, as he sort of grabs Otto and he's about to begin torturing him, Beatrice arrives. Now remember, Beatrice is very, very powerful, okay? She has mana and she has all these insane spells, so this might actually be a good match. And again, like I said before, Rem comes back in the form of Libat and Kaitos, and of course, Libat and Kaitos is trolling Otto and Beatrice by talking about the hero, referring to Subaru. And so we'll see if Beatrice and Otto can actually do what they say and take down Libat and Kaitos. And finally, get back Rem's memories.